1, 2, is this on? Yo, Jimmy, hit me with that Triple H. Yeah, you let the music keep playing, Mr. Don. Yo, tell me whose time it is now. You don't know what time it is.
What's up, guys? Kyle McGee here, back with another episode of Wrestling the Past. This was initially going to be an episode about WrestleMania 32, with WrestleMania being this Saturday and Sunday from Dallas. We were going to cover the last time they were there, but in light of the news of Triple H's retirement, we're going to be talking about the Triple H WrestleMania Retrospective, going back and looking at all of his matches, and I'm joined for the first time ever on the podcast by my good buddy David Gould. He is featured on the logo as the guy dressed like Mick Foley. Yeah. David, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Kyle. This was an odyssey. Getting into talking about Triple H's WrestleMania, but it was worth it, honestly. Like you said, and in light of and due to his retirement, we decided to go through his entire WrestleMania catalog, which has been an odyssey for sure.
Yeah, definitely has been. We could have sat here and done a Triple H career retrospective, and we would still be talking on March 29th of next year, if we're being 100% honest with ourselves. So this was probably a better way to go about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'd be stuck here for forever. That and the whole the narrative of Triple H's career has been, I think, been told so many times in so many ways.
Yeah, 100%.
That I don't think we can improve upon it. But going through his WrestleMania, you can kind of get a glimpse of where he is at those moments versus where he's going to be. I think it's a way better and more unique way to interpret his career.
Absolutely. It's a great way, no pun intended, we're talking about Triple H, but it's a great way to see the evolution of his career, is going back and watching these WrestleMania matches. It's funny, though, because I feel like going back and watching Triple H's WrestleMania catalog was kind of like going back and watching a Triple H promo. It's long, it's drawn out, it takes forever to get to the conclusion, but here we are, we made it.
But you're still somehow excited for it.
Yeah, that's the impressive part right there.
You want proof that Triple H is the master of truly the master of the game, so to speak. Sitting through his promos and still wanting to go see his match.
Yeah,
it's like a victory lap for him before he's even won.
100% true, and he's definitely had some great promos over the year, and he's had some phenomenal matches, and we're going to be covering some of them today. So let's get right into it here. Let's not waste any more time. His first match, because we've got a lot to cover. His first match in WrestleMania history took place at WrestleMania 12, the same event as the lengthy Iron Man match between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels in the main event. It also featured Diesel versus The Undertaker. It also featured Triple H's WrestleMania debut. And he's facing none other than the returning Ultimate Warrior. This is when Ultimate Warrior would make his return to the company after many years away. And, of course, he would not be long for the WWF in this run around either. The match is going to start off, and Triple H is going to attack him. Of course, this is Blue Blood Triple H. He's going to attack him while Warrior's still got the blood on. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Yes, Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Him. Absolutely.
Yep, he's actually accompanied to the ring by Sable in this one. Fun little note.
That was weird.
Yeah, it's weird going back and seeing something like that.
I knew the context, but it still felt weird. Yeah. You kind of forget how nobody likes to talk about 95 and 96 because it wasn't great. But oddly enough, he still kind of stood out enough to get a match with the Warrior, even if it was a match with the Warrior.
Yeah, well, it's going to go 1 minute 39 seconds. Triple H attacks him in the early going. Warrior starts to fight back. Triple H hits a pedigree, and Jerry Lawler excitedly exclaims it's over, but Warrior just completely no-sells it, immediately stands up, starts no-selling some punches from Triple H, hits him with a series of clotheslines, hits him with the huge shoulder tackle, military press slams him, and 1, 2, 3, it's over. It gets a dud from Dave Meltzer. What do you think?
It gets a why even review this?
Yeah. It happened.
It's a squad. It's a squad. Honest to God, the backstage rumors and whatnot are more interesting than the actual match itself, especially with how WWE like portrays this match in hindsight.
Yeah, it's so funny, like on the Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior DVD.
Yeah.
Triple H makes a comment about finding out what a real prick the Ultimate Warrior was and how he ruined his first WrestleMania. But then years later, when they're inducting Warrior to the Hall of Fame, Triple H said he never had any sour feelings and how it was always a great honor for him to say his first WrestleMania match was against Ultimate Warrior. So yeah, it's kind of like how are they feeling about Warrior decides how they tell the story.
Yeah, it's pretty telling how they wanted to treat the Warrior at the time, based on what Triple H, the company man, says.
Moving along
hot
here, because go ahead, go ahead with your hot take.
That's all I had to say is hot take. Yeah, that's the hot take.
Gotcha. Yeah, real hot take there. Moving along,
what the company man says.
We're gonna move on to WrestleMania 13.
The first real match.
The first real match of his WrestleMania career. We're already seeing a different side to Triple H. Of course, he's coming out to, I believe it's, the song's by Beethoven, I believe, that he's coming out to at the time.
I can't never remember my Beethoven, but I know it is Ludwig van Beethoven.
Yep. He's coming out to that song around this time, and he's finally got China with him. He's going to be taking on Goldust. This feud centered around the fact that, Triple H was trying to get Marlena. It didn't work. Of course, Goldust and her were together at the time. China's the menacing force at ringside. They go 14 minutes and 29 seconds with Triple H getting the victory, and they got 2.25 stars from Dave Meltzer. Went back and watched this for the first time in a while. What do you think?
I actually kind of like this match a little more than that. Story was pretty straightforward, very back and forth, if I remember right. And if you note, and one of the things you notice throughout Triple H's whole run and what makes him so good at wrestling, as a wrestler, as a performer, whatever, call him what you want. He is so crisp with his movements.
Yes.
Simple, crisp, swift movements. Great. I remember great selling by both, and but it's otherwise a pretty middle of the road match. The finish where China and both China and him just destroy Marlena and Dustin at the end, Goldust at the end, and he got the three. Is pretty expected, honestly.
Yeah, it was definitely a very predictable match, especially in hindsight, like you said. I would agree. I think it was a pretty middle-of-the-pack match. It was very physical in the onset. Goldust really taking it to him. We already are seeing, from WrestleMania 12 to WrestleMania 13, we're already starting to see a bit of an evolution in Triple H's character. He's got a bit more attitude here. Of course, that would expand later on. Very physical in the early going.
Like even early on, he's developed already the I'm better than you mentality, which is a common thing in most wrestling characters, but he did it with such intensity even back then.
Absolutely. And one thing with the storytelling that you brought up, is one thing I liked about the storytelling from this match was, like I said, the intensity and the physicality from Goldust. That wasn't normally his style, but he was very intense. Really taking it to Triple H in the early going. Throwing some hard shots. It made it feel real. This is a guy who's standing up for Marlena, who I can't remember if it was his wife at the time or not, but it brought a sense of reality. Yeah, his wife. It brought a sense of reality to this feud, and having him, actually add the physicality to match that, as opposed to just going out there and doing a collar elbow tie, it really made sense.
Yeah, it was oddly enough, it was definitely the sleeper match of Mania 12. I felt because I've now watched most of Mania 12 now at this point,
You mean
and
13,
'cause
right?
I never sat down. Oh, it was 13. My mistake.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. My mistake. I've seen even less of 13.
Well, all you need to know is that
Uh,
Sid and Undertaker tore the house down.
oh, I bet. Oh, I bet they tore up I bet you they chewed the scenery too. Or Taker did at least. But yeah, no, definitely, it was definitely probably would have been considered the sleeper match of 13 then, because the other match was what, Hart and
Hart
Austin.
and Steve Austin, yep, one of the greatest
Yeah,
WrestleMania matches of all time.
yeah, I love that match.
Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
that was a
no,
phenomenal match. This one, like I said, it's pretty middle of the road. It's not anything terrible.
definitely,
But I wouldn't say you need to go out of your way to watch it.
yeah, no, absolutely. Especially with if you want to go Attitude Era Triple H, then there's so many better Mania matches
Definitely.
uh
And speaking
down the road.
of a better Mania match, next year it's WrestleMania 14. This is, of course, the event where Stone Cold era would officially begin, and the next night Triple H would bring back Sean Waltman and X-Pac and form the DX Army, as he called it, with Billy Gunn, Road Dogg, and China. China's at
My
ringside
favorite
for this one.
incarnation.
Yeah, I think it's
Favorite
everybody's
incarnation of
favorite
the team, sorry.
incarnation.
Yeah, really, that's awesome to hear.
But yeah, WrestleMania 14, it's going to be for the European title. Triple H is going to be taking on Owen Hart. They're going to go 11 minutes and 29 seconds. Triple H is going to retain, and Meltzer would give it 3 stars. Of course, at Survivor Series that last year, the Montreal Screwjob would happen against Owen's brother Bret. So it kind of makes sense in hindsight, looking back and going, oh yeah, of course, Owen faced a member of DX at WrestleMania. You were talking a little bit before we got started about this. What did you think going back and watching this?
I think it's absolutely insane that one of the most controversial parts in wrestling moments in wrestling history, the WrestleMania blow off for it is the European title rather than a world title.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that before.
It really, yeah, no. Like if we're talking objectively for the match itself, the match is actually really, really good. In spite of Owen Hart's really goofy theme song he had at that time. What was that?
Yeah, the Enough is Enough
But
theme.
yeah, I never liked that one. Give me like his old 92, 93 theme any day. But that's
Yeah, the
besides
one that
point.
sounds like it's from a SNES game. Yeah, I've always liked that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I love the moves, especially the fact that Owen I'm sure pulled off a really good Hurricane Rana early going.
Yeah.
And the selling was just really good.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a lot
at
of
that
stuff
point,
where because Owen went into this match with that ankle injury, the reported ankle injury, and there's a lot of anytime
Yeah.
he lands a big kick, he's selling his leg.
yeah, like between those kicks and Hunter just being a master at working a body part, like next to
Absolutely.
Bret
Yeah.
Hart, I think next to Bret Hart, Kurt Angle, and Redacted, which we'll get to later. I think Hunter's got one of the best limb work game, I think, in WWE ever.
Yeah, no, Triple H is his mind for the business, especially even to something as simple as working a body part, just absolutely cannot be overstated enough. He does such a great job in this match, like you said, and these two worked really well together. It was a really good technical wrestling match. Of course, Triple H is going to retain the title. When the referee's distracted, China is going to hit a low blow on Owen Hart, and that's going to be followed up with a pedigree so that Triple H can retain. So we're starting to see the more, we even had the DX band do the entrance theme for Triple H on the way out. So we're starting to see the.
And this is the start. This is where pageantry really got take hold in WrestleMania, where bands started to be a thing.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is this is really like WrestleMania 14 to me is when the tide really shifted in the Monday Night Wars.
Yeah, this is when it really got started, isn't it? Which makes sense. This is the same Mania where Stone Cold Steve Austin had his first rise.
It's also the same, that the blow off to the storyline between Kane and The Undertaker, which still to this day is probably one of my favorite storylines and had such a great blow off match. It is WrestleMania season. We did do an Undertaker watch along the other last week. Drew and I did, but I wanted to talk about this. And I know this is a Triple H episode, so I'll be brief on this. But
Okay.
But did you know that motherfucking Dave Meltzer gave that Kane and Undertaker match 1.25 stars? Or sorry, 1.5. 1.5.
Piss off. No way.
For reference, he gave Giant Gonzalez versus Undertaker 1.25 stars. So Undertaker and Kane is barely better than Undertaker and Giant Gonzalez.
Barely. Just barely. Yeah, that can... I mean, I guess the guy doesn't like big guys. I mean... Jesus Christ. I don't know how I feel about that. Are the moves dynamic? Probably not. It's been a hot minute since I watched that Mania match.
I did just watch it not that long ago, and I'd put it way above that.
That's insane. I remember it being very good. I remember the stare down, and I remember the I believe one of the tombstone bit.
Yeah. And of course, at that event, Kane would infamously tombstone Pete Rose.
Yes. Yeah, that is the first time he did that, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Because Mania 15, they did a return of that story.
Yep. And that's what's actually up next. Once we, So like I said, I really dug.
Though, about take.
That blew my mind. I thought you would want to hear that.
Yeah, that's insane. Let's move on, though. I apologize for bringing that back up. Go on.
No, you are fine. WrestleMania 14 versus Owen Hart. Really good. 3 stars. I would agree with that. It's not a phenomenal match, but it is really good for the time they were given, which was, again, 11 minutes, 29 seconds. Exactly 3 minutes less than his match with Goldust the year prior. But the next year, Triple H is going to be facing Kane at WrestleMania 15. And of course,
what an upgrade.
Yeah. Kane is going to be attacked by the giant chicken during his entrance. Of course, it turns out that it's Pete Rose, and Pete Rose gets another tombstone for his troubles. And then...
Oh, yeah. I love that, and I think the entire crowd loved it, too.
Yeah, it was a nice callback, a nice little blow-off to that angle from the year before. It was fun. I enjoyed it, because I went back and watched it this weekend, and I was like... Why the hell is this chicken attacking Kane? What am I missing here? Because I've not watched this match before, believe it or not. And then the Pete Rose reveal happened. I was like, oh my god, perfect.
It's the second time Pete Rose made an appearance in that sort of trope. He would go on and do it like 3 more times?
I believe so, yeah. You'd think the guy would learn after the first time, but nope, he just kept it going.
Oh no. You think he'd bring a baseball bat or something?
Yeah, you think.
No, giant chicken suit. Yeah, that's
a good way to get one over.
Yeah, absolutely. But to the match itself, to the meat and potatoes, Triple H is the way he's showing baby. You rarely see him have babyface fire. He has high and low babyface and heel moments. This was really, really strong babyface fire from Triple H. He went all out.
Yeah, they did a great job telling the story here. Of course, the backstory to this event is that Triple H and China have had a rift. China is starting to go soft for Kane, and they brought a human element to Kane with the storyline where he shows affection for China and shows care for her when he accidentally sets her face on fire trying to shoot a fireball on Triple H, and then Triple H would come out dressed as Goldust and shoot him with a flamethrower. They did an interesting story of it's absolute Attitude Era at its peak insanity. Of course, like I said, adds a human element to Kane. Of course, we would learn later on through Triple H as well that this was not Kane's first endeavor in the love world. Of course, earlier than this, he did have a relationship with a young woman named Katie Vick. Unfortunately, that did not turn out so well. But
no, not so hot. Not so hot. It was very cold.
Yeah. But they did a good job kind of humanizing Kane a little bit here.
Oh yeah, that was their first genuine attempt. Go ahead,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, go ahead. So this match did go 11 minutes, 33 seconds. Kane would win by disqualification because China would betray Kane and nail him with a chair. What did you think of the match and the story overall?
The story overall was pretty simple. Triple H he wanted vengeance for being screwed over by the corporation and by Kane, and an extra layer of China being hurt was added to humanize both participants and make it more emotionally charged. I love the hard-hitting spots between the two, like particularly Triple H's strikes just felt more. This is like the first time Triple H had really like super crazy strikes, and Kane would always throw him off like a mule, like a pack mule throwing off its saddle, like there was I remember there being a choke throw into a barricade.
Yeah.
It looked pretty crazy. That was nuts. It was also Kane's first time going balls to the wall in a Mania. Like you said, the previous one between he faced Taker was great, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time Kane did a dive.
I believe so. I think Taker did one to Kane the year before, but yeah, this is definitely the first time. That was one of the things that caught my attention was Kane doing the dive.
Yeah. It wasn't a pretty dive, but it was a but it was the fact that he put that kind of effort in the night and that early in the late 90s time period, like 97, 98, was pretty insane. The double swerve at the end made it just the cream of the crop, as we would say, creme de la creme. I probably would give this one like or 3.5. I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, Dave Meltzer does not agree with you. Dave Meltzer gave this match 1 1/4 star. I'm assuming he must not have cared for the DQ finish. Sorry, Dave Meltzer can what?
He can fall off a truck. No.
Yeah. Keep in mind, all anti-Dave Meltzer rhetoric is welcome on this show. I have made it known for years how little I care for Meltzer and his opinions. I personally, I guess I could have done without a DQ finish at WrestleMania, but I really dug this match. It actually surprised me how much I liked it.
I would agree. I would agree if it wasn't for the fact that there was a follow-up immediately after this match.
Yeah, exactly.
And even more follow-up for months to come. Like there actually came something out of this, which was of course Kane working with DX and the Xbox Tag Team storyline.
Yeah, which
Triple H just going higher and higher.
Yeah, which of course later in the night, Triple H would betray D-Generation X and help Shane McMahon get the win over X-Pac. So that would effectively end that, which like you said would start off this huge storyline. So in hindsight, I dig it. I really liked the match. I didn't really expect to be honest. I was like, okay, it's Kane and Triple H. It's going to be a DQ finish. We'll see how this goes. But I really dug it. They did a great job together, I thought.
I did too. I did too. Like I said, this is like one of the first instances where Triple H felt very vicious, which is like going to be one of the key elements to him, especially next year.
Yeah, this is the start of the Triple H heel run. Of course, later in the year, he would get married to Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie, well, not in the most
legal and normal ways.
Yeah, not in the most. Yeah, not in the most normal circumstances. For those of you who don't know the backstory to this, Stephanie on screen was engaged to be married to Test the night of their wedding. Triple H came out to object, and he played a video where during her bachelorette party, she had maybe had a Mickey, as they like to call them, slipped into one of her drinks. And he took her to one of the Las Vegas drive-thru weddings, and they got married. And later on, of course, Stephanie would align with Triple H, setting up WrestleMania 2000, where Triple H would be defending the WWF Championship in a fatal four-way elimination match with a McMahon in every corner. It's Triple H.
Yeah, because this is important.
It's Triple H with Stephanie versus The Rock with Vince McMahon versus Big Show with Shane McMahon versus the recently unretired after being retired just over a month earlier, Mick Foley, who is accompanied by Linda McMahon. It's going to go exactly 38 minutes. It's going to get 3 stars, and Triple H is going to retain. This is considered a very controversial decision. This is actually the first time that WrestleMania ended with the heel winning. It always ended on a positive note with the babyface going over, but for the first time ever, the heel goes over, and it's, of course, Mr. McMahon will betray The Rock at the end, providing the chair and swinging the chairs at The Rock. Kind of sets up the next year's WrestleMania 2, where he would pretty much do the exact same thing to The Rock, aligning with Stone Cold. So kind of funny, The Rock kind of got screwed by Vince 2 years in a row in almost the exact same way. A lot of controversy about this match over the years and how people view it. What say you?
Oh boy. Well, like a lot of WrestleMania 2000, this was probably the most mixed bag of mixed bags in terms of WrestleMania main events for me. So I'll start with a positive. The actual content of the match when the wrestlers were involved was actually really good, and I even liked the finish. The idea, let me phrase it. I like the idea of the finish.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't necessarily mind the idea of a heel winning in a WrestleMania, especially for the first time. And especially if you must have it be a fatal 4-way with a McMahon in every corner. If you must have that. If it has to be done, you know?
I don't think it had to be done.
Oh, no, I don't either. In fact, I tell people if they ever want to watch WrestleMania 2000, just go watch the next month's pay-per-view Backlash instead.
Yeah, that's
way better card.
fair.
I believe it had a way better card and a way better main event. But let's talk about the Mania match. That's what we're here for. And I really dug I really dug the opening spot with Big Show just dominating. I still have no idea why he was even there, but I appreciated that they did something with him, even if it was too short. He just dominated the whole match, and it took all 3 of them to take him out. But it only took them like 4 minutes to take him out.
Yeah, that was the one problem I had, was that he is out very quickly. Of course, the reason Big Show was in this match was because the controversy at the end of the Rumble where The Rock won, but the footage clearly showed that when he was, skinning the cat, as they call it, both of his feet very clearly touched the floor, which is kind of what set up Big Show being involved in this match.
Okay, so there is a narrative reason at least. Okay, sure, why not? There are also some very bizarre. There's also some very bizarre spots, like Mick Foley and Triple H working together.
Yeah, that was so bizarre to see.
Like, as a guy who adores that rivalry, that feud, to no end. Cactus Jack versus Triple H Royal Rumble that prior month or 2 months ago, that year, was one of my all-time favorite matches.
Yeah, and
period.
I will say, though, to their credit, they did a good way of it making sense. These two did have this blood feud, so them working together, when you just hear that, sounds weird. But the psychology behind it was Triple H wanted to be the one to end Mick Foley's career, and it was, the whole point of this was win, lose, or draw, Mick Foley's done after this match, and it's an elimination match. Who cares if somebody's getting pinned? But Triple H breaks up a pin that The Rock is pinning Mick Foley because he wants to be the one that has that. So it's the idea of they're going to work together and get rid of The Rock, so it comes down to just them.
Yeah, and it unfortunately didn't go out that way because Foley's elbow the table.
That was
a rough spot. That was a rough spot. I still can't tell if that was intentional or not because the way they worked it was really good.
I just simply think it was Mick Foley didn't get far enough.
Okay, so it was full on a botch because they worked it in pretty well with the match. I gotta give him credit for that. They basically just took him out immediately. So good on them that. And then the rest of the match just becomes McMahon antics, which I was not excited for. Like I finally get my Triple H Rock match, and and then just McMahon shenanigans happen. All four of them like do something, and then McMahon gives Hunter the win.
Yeah, the one thing I could have done without is the McMahon in every corner. You take the McMahons out, and I think this is a solid WrestleMania main event. And I even like the idea of the heel going over, but
think of it this way. Think of it this way though. Triple H wins the match, right? His music plays. He is not celebrating for 5 minutes straight. The McMahons are. He's not even on camera.
yeah.
For almost 5 minutes straight.
Yeah, it's all about Triple H and Stephanie reuniting. Or sorry, about Vince and Stephanie reuniting.
Yeah, and then Shane reuniting, and they play off of that, and The Rock goes in to save the day and beats them all down, and that's when Triple H shows up, and even then he gets wasted over. Like, couldn't have had him like stand there, and I don't know. That was so without a lack of a better term, very sports entertainment in a bad way.
Yeah, I would say that's a good way to put it. It was sports entertainment in a bad way. I think the content of the match and even the decision to make Triple H the winner wasn't bad, but everything about the McMahon's involvement in this was just bad.
Yeah, like if you had to have a fatal four-way and not have it be The Rock versus Triple H, then Hunter winning was fine, but having the McMahon every corner thing just ruined it for me. It killed. Like every time I felt like I was getting into the match, I would just lose it because of McMahon did something, and that's upsetting to hear because all three of the men and the 5 minutes of the Big Show had a lot of good chemistry.
Yeah, I would agree. They worked really well together, but unfortunately they weren't even the focal point of this match and the story around it.
Yeah, just disappointing. I'd probably give that one, I don't know, 2. What did Meltzer give it?
Meltzer gave it 3 stars.
Oh wow. I guess he tolerated McMahon bollocks more than me.
Yeah, I would have expected him to have hated this match a little bit more than he did. That's kind of my thing. This feels like a match that was tailor-made for Meltzer to hate.
Yeah, the Observer absolutely would dash on something so like if you just change the names from Triple H to Jeff Jarrett and replace all the names of the Carters, then you could see this getting like a half star
I'm not gonna lie, just hearing
you know what I mean?
I'm giving that -5 stars. Just hearing that. Oh, God. Somehow that is somehow worse than the McMahon in every corner.
Oh no, because at least the McMahons can act.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But like it's that level of hokiness that I wasn't into, especially when it's not wrestlers doing the hokiness. Speaking of slightly hokey, hot take here: Triple H versus Taker, WrestleMania 17.
Let's hear this hot take.
Oh yeah, I think the psychology of it is kind of dumb. Hot spicy take here. A referee should not be dead for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, so
and have them like I know I'm jumping a little bit
No, you're fine.
But I was not a fan of the next match. I'm not a fan of the next match.
Well, speaking of hot takes when it comes to this show, so you got the hot take that you didn't really care for this match. Here comes the hot take that I'm going to make that's probably going to upset a lot of people. And I will say the same thing about WrestleMania 21. Triple H's theme, The Game by Motorhead, iconic, one of the best wrestling themes of all time. Motorhead is phenomenal. Lemmy is a legend, rest in peace. I did not like any live performance by Motorhead for Triple H's theme, including this one.
I thought this one was okay. It was simple but effective. 21, he sounded. I'm pretty sure he was actually like intoxicated.
Yeah, he always seemed
Which I
like
think
he
was a
didn't know the
rumor,
word. He
going
always
around,
seemed
but-
like he didn't know the words to the song when he was performing it live.
Yeah. He like it always sounded like verbal gas passing out of his mouth about being the game and being awesome.
Yeah, it was just very weird for
being,
me. WrestleMania 17 definitely
yeah.
much better than 21. WrestleMania 21 to me is probably the worst live performance for a theme song I've ever seen.
Unless
I
you
know
count the national anthem by the DX band, but that's America's theme's problem.
Yeah, that I will not count. In fact, I think much like a certain redacted person, we should just refuse to acknowledge that ever happened. So Undertaker
We
and
should
Triple
always
H.
refuse that.
Undertaker and Triple H, WrestleMania 17, the first of their 3 matches they had together at the event. We'll get to the other 2 a little bit later on. They're going to go 18 minutes and 27 seconds. Dave Meltzer gave it 3.5 stars. You said you didn't care for it.
Jesus Christ.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so the match immediately begins, and their brawl, and they begin the brawl because the build up has been like a blood feud almost.
So that's actually one thing to keep in mind. A lot of action happens on the outside, and I had to laugh because the infamous story that the Spanish announce table always gets broken. Well, here when this match happens, the Spanish announce table has already been broken, so they have just like one of the breakaway tables out. Triple H gets punched by Undertaker, bounces up off his feet to take a bump, hits the table, and it just collapses, doesn't break. So the Spanish broadcast team has now lost their second table for the night, and the match hasn't even fucking started yet.
I know. Ridiculous. Like, this match should have been no DQ. I swear this match would be so much better if they didn't have to work around the limitations they put upon themselves by making this a standard one-on-one match.
Oh, and if you think if you think that's a problem now, just wait till we get a few matches down the road, and I'm gonna have a lot to say about that. But go ahead, continue.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. So they fight and they brawl. They have a decent brawl, but in a ref bump followed by a near fall. But after that near fall, for some reason, because potatoes, I guess, Undertaker just elbows the ref mercilessly.
So that's what to me. It's one of the funniest things ever. The referee tries to make the pinfall count. And I was watching this on break at work the other day. We were just kind of relaxing, and I was watching it. My coworker saw me watching it, and he doesn't really watch wrestling. He sees the Undertaker stand up, step on Mike Chioda's head, and then drop an elbow on him. And folks, we'll get to the rest of it, but he was not kidding earlier. Mike Chioda is down for the next 10 fucking minutes from that.
I know we're supposed to believe that referees are made of paper.
This is the worst example of it I've ever seen. These guys end up going into the crowd. The crowd's going crazy, and he's just fucking dead.
They're all brawling. They're brawling in this crowd, and they're going up to the production setup. I have no idea if this is a real production setup or not. But the point is that they're brawling up there, and they're up on this this apparatus, and the Undertaker just grabs him by the throat near the end of this brawl and goes for a choke slam. And because of the camera angle, the way it was shot, it looked like Triple H just freaking died.
Yeah, it looked like he fell like 20 feet, then you look and realize like it was like 7, 8 feet.
Yeah, 7, 8 feet, and the replays are so far zoomed out when they show where he landed, because they showed where he landed.
Yeah.
If you look, you can clearly tell this thing's like foam board. It's like that's like the length of your like forearm, like a good like foot and a half.
Well, and that's the thing is like what they're showing, like when they're down on the ground, like showing the action, they're like filming it completely from the ground with the camera angled up to make it look so much taller than it is. Which, credit to Triple H, there's no crash pad or anything he went through. He landed on the solid floor. I'll give him credit for that.
Really, I could have sworn on the replay there was a mat.
Oh, there was a mat on top of the floor, yeah, but it wasn't like a crash pad.
It looked a lot thicker. I could have sworn it was a crash pad. I could be wrong. I will gladly admit to be wrong because I prefer safety. I prefer safety to my wrestling.
Yeah.
But but if he took that bump, then I'll shut up. I'll redact and apologize.
I could be
I thought
wrong.
it was like the replays had it so far zoomed out that you could clearly see that there's like a black mat covering over a white crash pad.
You know what? It might have been. I'd have to go back and look at it again.
Because when you see Triple H crawling towards the camera, he's completely far away from what is clearly a crash pad.
Oh, I guess you're right.
So he must
that's
have fallen.
true.
And then
he crawled away.
And then when they replayed it, he fell on the pad and then rolled out to the floor to make it look like it. I was just like, God, Kevin Dunn, if you just, you have like 9 cameras, right?
Oh, that's underselling how many cameras that guy has. Come on now. I don't know. I think you're probably right. I think there probably was a crash pad.
I mean, I'm fine with him having a crash pad, but if you're gonna like hide the fact that there's a crash pad, actually hide it,
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Of course, they're going to end up getting back into the ring, and while the referee's still kind of out of it, Taker goes for a last ride, but Triple H has his trusty sledgehammer and drills Taker in the back of the head with it. Doesn't get the finish. Taker, of course, is inevitably going to end up winning the match. My coworker, who, like I said, doesn't watch wrestling, was kind of half watching it with me and sees the referee come to life and make that slow 2 count and said, now I'm calling bullshit because if I've been knocked out and I come to, I'm not going to get right back to doing my job.
That's just a fact of life in wrestling, man. You got to do the job no matter what it is.
Yeah, so I would agree with you. I think it's definitely the weakest of their 3 WrestleMania matches together. Meltzer gave it 3.5 stars. What say you?
Oh my God. What is this, man? What? 3? I gave it 1.75. I hated this. I wanted to like the parts that were good were acceptable. Like the actual in-ring content was fine. It was actually it took me aback to see that the corner last ride actually got the win.
Yeah.
That took me aback because I grew up with it being like
almost a false finish.
False or a cutoff.
That's absolutely true.
But other than that, yeah, I hated this kind of. I like trash bag wrestling as it's called, or garbage wrestling as it's called. But this was just dumb, insulted my intelligence half the time.
Well,
it made me.
Go ahead.
No, it made me feel like mentally like a toddler watching wrestling. I don't know, but you have any other thoughts on this match?
Honestly, I feel like you've kind of summed it up really, really well. There's not that great a psychology, and I think if they wanted to do the spots they wanted to do, it should have just been no DQ.
Right, which we learn fixed the rest every single match that he had with Taker since.
Yeah. You are not wrong. Not long after WrestleMania 17, Triple H would infamously tear his quad. It was the 2-man power trip against Chris Jericho and Redacted.
You're going to have to say his name eventually.
And when Triple H finally did return, Chris Jericho was the undisputed champion, and Triple H would win the Royal Rumble, which sets up WrestleMania X8, WrestleMania 18's main event, which many people would say should not have been the main event. Triple H is going to defeat Chris Jericho with Stephanie McMahon at ringside for Chris Jericho in 18 minutes and 41 seconds. Of course, the storyline here is that Triple H is a babyface upon his return, so he's divorcing Stephanie, and Stephanie's aligned with Jericho to try and get revenge against Triple H. It gets 3 stars from Meltzer. What did you think about the match, personally?
So this one's going to be a little nostalgic for me. This is little baby Dave's first program that he ever watched as a kid.
Okay.
So it does have a special place, and however, yeah, this probably shouldn't have been the main, in hindsight. Like the crowd was like, as much as I enjoyed the match and got a slight nostalgic chuckle out of the build. There was the crowd was just dead.
They were just exhausted by
shit.
this point. Yeah, they.
Yeah. Mania 18 had a lot of crazy good matches. We're not just talking about the obvious one that should have been the main. I mean, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said it and then I lost the match. This is very Edge Booker T. There we go. The build-up was dumb, but that match was great.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the worst build-ups I've ever seen. Of course, that's excluding every single build, damn near every single build, I should say, to WrestleMania this year.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm so blessed. I do not watch the E. Shocker.
I can't say that I've watched it anytime recently.
Current product is hard to sit through. I barely keep up with wrestling that I like.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I didn't hate this match. I did like it, but I agree with you. I think it a lot. I think it would have benefited from not being the main event. They told a great story here. You know, the selling of the leg with Triple H and the questions about whether or not he can really still go at this level. And, of course, he does. I liked it. Yeah. I really dug it. And it's a rare babyface moment for Triple H at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it was. I absolutely adored this match. The crowd, in spite of the crowd, I love some of the heat. I love the heat that they went with very early. I loved how defensive Triple H was with the quad. Spinning toe hold being used by Chris Jericho was so cool. I just like that move. And that move should be used more often, as weird as it kind of looks sometimes.
Yeah, I would agree. The one thing about this match to me that didn't age well is the stuff with Trips trying to attack Stephanie. I don't know that stuff ages very well.
No, it is not. Even in a heel context.
And you want to
I
go ahead.
I get wanting to have heel women in your wrestling, but chances are they're gonna either should find the way to get their comeuppance somehow, which we will get to that in many detail later, much later in this rundown of Triple H's run. I like this match though.
Yeah.
Other than that.
Yeah, and speaking of something else that didn't age well, up next is WrestleMania 19, Triple H and Booker T.
Oh man, you're gonna. This is where I'm gonna test my limits here.
So of course, this is the infamous feud where Triple H would tell Booker T that someone like you doesn't get to be a world champion. Of course, he would go on later and say, "Oh, I was meaning because he's from WCW." Because that's what
I threw a wad of cash at his face in the bathroom because he's a WCW guy.
Yeah, I threw a wad of cash in his face and said, "Get me a towel, boy," because he's a WCW
guy. Yeah, totally. It's totally because of that. It's not even a little bit the other thing you're thinking of.
God.
Yeah,
these two are gonna go. These two are gonna go 18 minutes and 45 seconds, and it gets 3.25 stars. Triple H would retain.
45 seconds. Did you say 30 minutes 45?
No. 18 minutes 45.
Okay, I was like, Jesus, I didn't think it was that. I didn't think it was long. Yeah, this match was okay. The finish was terrible. I have a hard. Booker T really should have won this, not just because of the way the build up of the story was told, but because Booker T just put out the extra stops. I forgot how good Booker T is in a main event capacity.
Yeah, Booker T is phenomenal in this show, and especially here, he was nearly at his peak as a performer. It was such a missed opportunity. And yeah, the ending was just horrible, with Triple H hitting the pedigree and taking a full 30 seconds to get the cover and still winning. That is
slowly crawling.
That is usually Wrestling 101 for this is going to be a kick out, and it wasn't.
Yeah, it just wasn't. You might want to. You can cut these out if you want, but I have some very juicy quotes. Some of the most juicy quotes from Jerry Lawler in this match.
Let's hear it.
Some of them just made my eyes fucking. Okay. Booker T should have known he would have amounted to nothing when he was born on a pool table.
Yep, I remember that line.
I rewinded that 3 times to make sure I got that one right because, wow.
Yeah.
His family portrait is a courtroom sketch.
Yep.
Jesus Christ, Jerry! What? Good Lord! Yeah, you lived it. Yeah. Wow. He took. They had he had an argument with Jim Ross. This is my last quote because it's the craziest one. He had an argument with JR about how Jerry Lawler actually really likes Booker T. He said Booker T took him to the mall yesterday and went and tried to buy everything. Unfortunately, he tried to buy everything in cigarettes. Good Lord.
Yeah.
We get it. We get it. He's from WCW. We get it, guys. Keep telling us that.
Oh my God! That actually did remind me of a classic line of commentary from that, and it was Jerry Lawler does say something about him being a loser because he's from WCW and everything about WCW is just awful. And Jim Ross goes, "Excuse me, did you ever work at WCW?" And he said, "No." He goes, "Well, I did for a lot of years." He said, "And was it dumb?" "Damn right."
You're damn right. I love that. I'm sorry, Kyle, but I loved that line. That
no,
was awesome.
I popped for it rewatching it. I forgot he said that. And it was hilarious. Because it sounds like he's getting defensive, but no, not at all.
No. Screw WCW.
Man, yeah. So obviously,
apparently, it's the message we learned from that match, and nothing else.
Yeah, there's nothing else about the story that we learned about Triple H other than the fact that he just doesn't like WCW, and neither does Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
Well, like we said, they definitely had the wrong winner in this one, but the next year the next year at WrestleMania 20, they would finally get it right. Of course, Triple H is going to be defending the World Heavyweight Championship in a triple threat match. He's going to be facing his former best friend, Shawn Michaels, and the man who we've been referring to as Redacted this entire time. So I guess now it's finally time we say his name. The man that won the Royal Rumble 2004. So it's Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Curtis Axel. They're going to go 24 minutes and 7 seconds.
Oh my God!
I am kidding. It was Chris Benoit. They went 24 minutes and 7 seconds. 4 3/4 stars. It's obviously hard in hindsight with everything that happened with Chris Benoit to go back and watch some of his stuff. But my God, this match was incredible.
This match is a masterclass.
This might be my favorite triple threat of all time.
This is definitely up there. I think there's like 1 or 2 more in my mind that pique me.
You're probably thinking. I know what you're thinking of. I think you're thinking of Jack Swagger versus Rob Van Dam versus Cesaro.
Oh yeah, class. What? that
Yeah, that was the blow off to Cesaro winning the armbar in WrestleMania 30.
Oh wow!
And becoming a Paul Heyman guy. That was the blow off.
What great storytelling. Speaking of great storytelling, Mania 20 was a absolute mastercraft between the stereotypical bits of a triple threat match where they cut between 2 people for a prolonged period of time. Those were great. When they actually did stuff with all 3 in the ring, those were just awesome. I could watch Benoit and Michaels go for hours. I could watch Hunter and Michaels go for hours. I have. I could watch all 3 of them murder each other. Oh wait, wrong phrase.
Oh God.
The crossface was great. The first crossface, I believe it was Benoit and Michaels. I love the psychology of him wanting to get out of the hold.
And one thing I loved, that was actually one of my favorite spots of the entire match, is that Shawn just finally has enough and he goes to tap. And Triple H can't get in time to break it, so he just catches his hand and refuses to let him tap. That was one of my favorite parts of the entire match.
Oh my God, that was so awesome. Another thing I enjoyed was both of their ways of taking the trio of Germans that Benoit would do. Oh my God, I love Shawn Michaels. Like, he looked like he was literally trying to grasp at anything to get out of it.
Yeah,
and
they
he will
did.
just get launched.
It was just
Oh,
so
so
good.
good. Yeah,
It
I
was
enjoyed.
incredible.
I enjoyed that. Triple H trying to strong arm Benoit, and Benoit just having to pound away at him. And before he finally relented and got the other two Germans was so good. The crazy double team on the table between Hunter and Michaels, where they just instinctively work together because they know each other so well.
Yep, and they know they need to get rid of Benoit, which
At the
little
same
did they
time,
know
so
he
they
would
just
take care of that a few years later.
Oh yeah, He don't worry, he take care of business. And then they have their moment because this is technically born from their feud. This whole match. Yeah, and then I can't remember how Michaels got cut off, but Benoit going for the finish with the crossface and Triple H trying to find any way to get out of it, even like rolling him around in the ring and finally giving up was just amazing.
It really
just,
was.
like I said, like say what you will about Chris Benoit, but this match was fucking masterclass.
Yeah, this to me, like I said, to me it's my favorite triple threat match of all time, and honestly, notwithstanding all the unfortunate stuff surrounding it, it's still one of my favorite matches to go back and watch because it was just amazing.
I won't lie to you. I got emotional after the match because when Eddie came to the ring, I won't admit. I'll gladly admit I got emotional seeing that.
Yeah, no, it's still such a powerful moment to watch. It was at the time, and it's almost even more so now, knowing how things would just be just a little over a year later.
Why? Yeah, exactly. Exactly the same sentimentality that it's just one of those. I guess it's a good way to cope. I suppose that's how some people cope. I guess I choose to cope. I'm choosing to cope by watching that moment.
Yeah. So Meltzer gave it 4 3/4 stars. What say you?
Oh my God.
Because I'll be honest.
There's something wrong with that match.
I'll be honest. I give it 5. I think it's a perfect match.
I'm trying to think of anything that could have gone wrong, that may have gotten wrong with that match. I immediately can't. I honestly would say that is probably the perfect triple threat, except maybe its spiritual successor 10 years down the line.
Yes, of course, where they basically just reshot the exact same match with different participants.
But also very good.
They're also incredible, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I love this match. I really do. I would give it 5 stars. Of course, we know Uncle Dave wouldn't give it that because it's a WWE match. Well, Benoit would drop the title later that year to fellow Evolution member with Triple H, Randy Orton, who would of course be kicked out the next night rather than having a prolonged build. Batista would go on to win the Rumble and then break from the ranks, and that would set up WrestleMania 21's main event. Batista defeating Triple H to win the World Heavyweight Championship in exactly 22 minutes. It gets 2 3/4 stars. This was the start of a new era in WWE. This was the night that Batista and John Cena cemented themselves as the new faces of the company. It gets 2 3/4 stars. What say you?
I say this match. It kind of got a bad rep. Honestly, I didn't think this match was too bad. I think it's partially because Batista's still relatively green in this situation, and it shows a little bit.
Yes.
Maybe why. But the actual moments themselves between that snap press slam he did, or Triple H's solid heel work. To the catapult spot, Triple H was clearly there to serve Batista up, and they did that with such a simple but in my opinion effective story of this strategic mind trying to stop what is essentially a crazed animal, without lack of a better term, and absolutely failing at the end, to the point of near terror at this guy. at this young upstart Batista. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's
n-
one of either one of their best matches of all time, but I did like it for what it was. It was okay.
They had a bet.
They've both had better matches, and they had better matches after this pay-per-view throughout the rest of the spring and summer of 2005.
Remember their Vengeance pay-per-view being a Hell
Yep.
in a Cell.
Yep,
Being,
and that was a
right
brutal
proper,
match.
Right proper brutal. Right
Yep.
proper brutal, and more memorable for it.
Yeah, we are going to see Batista a little later down the line. 2 3/4 stars. I'd probably agree with that. I'd say it's about 2.5,
Yeah.
2 3/4.
I give it 2.5. It was more entertaining than people give credit for, but it
There's
wasn't
definitely
anything
nothing special.
spectacular
Yeah.
either. Yeah, no, especially when you had the first Money in the Bank ladder match that year.
Yeah, that's
Like
that's another good
like, you
point.
want to talk
That was
you want to talk star making. Star making moments like right there. Is a good example of how many stars got made in Mania 21 and why. In hindsight, that's probably one of the most important manias WWE's had.
I would 100% agree. It's kicked off the next step in the Ruthless Aggression era, and realistically the next, with Batista leaving in 2010, it kick-started the next 5 years of their programming.
Yes, it did. And we won't. And unfortunately, it won't take long for the crowd to have strong opinions about this change in the guard that they will be sitting through for 5 years, including us, with next year.
Yep.
Being the prime example of that.
WrestleMania 22. John Cena versus
mania.
Triple H for the WWE Championship. Very interesting Mania. They went 22 minutes and 2 seconds, 3 3/4 stars from Dave Meltzer. Of course, Triple H is the heel. This is the start of his King of Kings gimmick. But he is over like Rover with the crowd. They're going crazy for him, and they are booing Cena. Both of them had pretty unique entrances here. This is still one of my favorite Triple H entrances with the Conan the Barbarian look and the King of Kings playing before he comes down.
This is the debut of that look.
Yeah, and then you had, of course, Cena coming out like dressed up like the old school Chicago gangsters. There's some weird guy from Chicago hanging off of the one of the cars. I've heard he did all right for himself in the wrestling business.
Yeah, I think he did okay. He stared. Yeah, and he holds a Tommy gun really well.
Yeah,
he's the best in the world at it.
For those of you who don't know, it was CM Punk. Definitely go out of your way to go back and maybe if you don't want to watch the match itself, watch the entrances and get a look at a nice young fresh-faced CM Punk here. 22 minutes, 2 seconds, 3 3/4 stars, amazing entrances. What did you think going back and watching this match?
So I could tell what they were going for with this match, and I think it kind of worked. They decided to play off the fact they knew that for a fact that this match was going to have the crowd reaction they were going to have, and they played with it, and I really appreciated that. So I think that made the match so much better, and it also made the match hot. Like the crowd, say what you will about the crowd hating Cena, but that crowd went crazy multiple times. And even though the idea was that Cena was going to come back and rise up at the end, it didn't work out that way. I think it was a noble effort nonetheless, and it was also fun to see the kindling of what would become babyface Triple H in the 2006 on.
Yeah, I personally, when I first got back into wrestling was late 2006. I got back into it. Actually, you and I had just met not that long before I got back into wrestling. That was the year we met, was 6th grade on the playground. A few of the people I was friends with got me to get back to watching wrestling again. And for Christmas that year, I got a DVD set of every pay-per-view from 2006. And so this was actually, while I didn't watch it live, this was the first ever WrestleMania that I watched in its entirety. So WrestleMania 22 does hold a very special place in my heart. I really dug this match. I have fond memories of it. This is a match I've gone back to several times and watched. I agree with you. I love the way they worked the crowd. Triple H, much like he was there to service Batista the year before, did a great job at just selling up for John Cena here in this one. And I really dug it, of course. Triple H is going to tap out to what was then known as the STFU. This was back when Cena was still pumping up the sneakers, and it was still called the FU and not the AA. It was definitely a different John Cena than we would know in about 5 years' time.
This John Cena is fresh hip, flying, or whatever the crap. Whereas John Cena just becomes a cyborg later on.
Yeah. Yeah, this was the start of that. And you know what's ironic is Triple H would miss WrestleMania 23 with another torn quad. And ironically, the reports over the years, John Cena would, of course, main event against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 23, but the reports over the years have said that originally it was supposed to be part 2 of Triple H versus John Cena at WrestleMania 23.
This may be a hot take. Probably not, though. I think, and this isn't me wishing that Hunter had injured himself. I obviously do not wish that, but honestly, we got the better match out of it.
I would 100% agree.
As much as this is obviously a tribute to Triple H himself, 2 years in a row that I think would have been kind of rough.
Yeah, I would agree. And definitely, with all due respect to Triple H is one of the best of all time, without question. But Shawn Michaels, just on another level, and he and John Cena worked so well together. But yeah, so Triple H did miss WrestleMania 23 as a result of that injury. One thing I do have to say about the WrestleMania 22 match between John Cena and Triple H, when it comes down to their one-on-one matches with each other, this is probably one of, if not their very best together, right?
Yes, honestly, they like I said, the chemistry was surprisingly sound. The story of Triple H as being a superior scientific wrestler, whereas John Cena is like the long game kind of guy, was really awesome. Maybe their Night of Champions bout, I think it was like 2007, 2008.
I think it was 2008. Yep.
Yeah, was pretty good, but I still would say that the actual in-ring work of this one was a little bit better. Just a little bit. Especially that finish with the STFU, where it's the closest I'm pretty sure John Cena actually connected with an STF.
Yes, this was probably his best looking one ever.
Especially when he like grabbed the arm of Hunter and to prevent him from crawling. It actually made logical sense. Like, it was pretty cool to see a wrestler him winning a match with a wrestling move to try and tell the haters that he can wrestle.
Yeah, no, it was so great because that was the narrative back then. Is Cena can't wrestle. His fisherman suplex in the match did look kind of awkward, but it always did because he almost kind of hopped with it.
Yeah, like it was like it felt more like a botched fisherman driver or buster.
Yeah.
Than a suplex, but it wasn't bad. I think JR said it kind of best. He said it was very unorthodox.
Yeah, Cena's offense at this time I would say definitely best be described as very unorthodox.
Yeah, imagine if Hulk Hogan all of a sudden try doing some more add a little bit more gymnastic pizzazz to a body slam. I think that'd be the best way to describe John Cena's fisherman suplex and his weird back suplex sideways bomb thing.
The sit out power bomb or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that one always that move always kind of confused me, but it's not bad.
I've always dug that move personally.
Yeah, like logically it makes sense. Like, say what you will about a lot of crazy wrestling moves that exist in especially nowadays in 2022. At least it makes sense. Lift guy up, throw guy down.
Yeah. So Dave Meltzer gave it 3 3/4 stars. What say you?
3.5.
3.5.
Like,
I would probably agree 3.5.
3.5. I enjoyed this match a lot more than I thought I would, not just from nostalgia, but 3.5 out of 5. Sounds about safe.
I would say that's a pretty fair way to go about it. And speaking of 3.5, 3.5 stars is actually what Dave Meltzer would give the next match on our Triple H go along. And that is going to be Randy Orton versus John Cena versus Triple H for the WWE Championship. This would all be set up when, in the fall of 2007, John Cena would tear his pectoral muscle during a feud with Randy Orton, resulting in a vacant title. As a result of the vacant title, Randy Orton would be awarded the title, but then would lose it to Triple H that same night. Triple H would then have his match with Umaga that night and retain the title, but then would defend the title in the main event against Randy Orton and lose it. And that would kick off the build all the way to WrestleMania when John Cena would surprise everyone, return from the Royal Rumble several months earlier than anticipated. I remember being so excited about that as a kid.
That kind of started making me a Cena fan a little bit.
Yeah, it was such a huge moment. It was insane. That was probably one of the biggest pops Cena has ever gotten. Of course, it came down to he and Triple H, and Cena would win the Rumble, but he didn't want to wait till WrestleMania. He wanted his title shot at No Way Out. Orton would retain against Cena at No Way Out via shenanigans, and Triple H would win the Elimination Chamber match to get him a WWE Championship match. Cena cried foul, and that's what led to the triple threat match at WrestleMania. They go 14 minutes and 10 seconds here, and Randy Orton, surprisingly enough, is going to retain. This featured the really cool entrance where John Cena had the college band play like a marching band rendition of his theme that I kind of dug. I thought it was really cool. WrestleMania 24 was the first WrestleMania that I watched live as it happened. So everything on this show I held a near and dear place to my heart. I have great memories watching it. And I remember just being stunned that Orton won. 3.5 stars from Meltzer. What do you think of the match going back and watching it?
Well, this might be where we might disagree, because I thought this one certainly happened. It felt like one of those matches where it just felt like a bog standard triple threat match to me. They caught the story, if I remember right, was Triple H and Cena kind of both chasing after Orton, but getting in each other's way.
Yeah.
And Orton kind of just sleazing his way through it all. It felt like something that would have been good on a different pay-per-view, but not on a Mania. I don't know.
I can respect that. I personally dug this match rewatching, and maybe it's just the nostalgia. I really liked what they did here. I also, I loved the Orton RKO out of nowhere to Triple H pretty early in the match.
That was pretty cool. I will admit that.
Because it was really just completely out of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no exaggeration in that one.
And you want to talk about out of nowhere. The finish where Triple H hits the pedigree on John Cena after all this big back and forth, and it looks like he's got the match won, but then bam, the huge punt kick from Orton. Orton pins Cena, and he retains the title. 14 minutes 10 seconds. Like I said, 3.5 stars from Meltzer. What would you give it?
3 honestly. Like I said, the match wasn't bad. I especially liked the RKO from out of nowhere and the finish, because it's such a classic heel wrestling thing, to do something like that. But I don't know, just something about it just didn't gel with me as much as other Mania matches. Maybe it was that fatigue, because I think I told you before we recorded that as fun as it was to go back to some of these, Triple H matches aren't meant to be binged. Yeah, I just got fatigued by it. Like, good lord, this guy's been through a lot.
That's 100% fair. Like I said, I would actually agree with the 3.5 star rating. I really dug it.
Yeah.
Of course, Triple H would go on and capture the title from Randy Orton. Not too long after this, I believe it was that Judgment Day of that year. Maybe it was at Backlash.
I think so, yeah.
But regardless, he would go on to capture it, and that would set up WrestleMania 25, which, I'll be honest, I believe we are going to have to pull a WWE, and just like they're doing with WrestleMania, I think we might need to make this a 2-night affair. We are just now at the halfway point, and we've already been going pretty long. So I think we can.
Yeah.
I think this is a good ending point. We have just made it to the halfway point. So we'll make this a 2-for-1 week. We will get back and conclude the rest of the Triple H WrestleMania Odyssey. It's been fun going back and looking at these. We're gonna have a lot more. We're gonna have a lot more meat on the bones when we pick this back up, and we'll be picking it back up with the Triple H and Randy Orton match from just 1 year later for the WWE Championship in the main event of WrestleMania 25. David, any closing thoughts on the match we've covered before we get off here?
Honestly, the fact that it was like early midway into the card kind of shows how I felt about the match itself.
That's fair.
It was there. It was fine. The clearly Edge Taker was the a bigger match on that card.
Absolutely it was.
And Sean Flair.
Well, yeah, of course, and let's not forget Finley and JBL.
Oh yeah, yeah. That shit was talk about a sleeper match.
You know what?
Oh my god, I could watch it.
JBL wrecked Hornswoggle with a trash can. Pump that shit into my veins. I will watch that any day of the week.
Every day, all day, every day. Just watch him get pelted by trash cans. That's what you get for sneaking your way into the McMahon family heir. How dare you? Sneak into the McMahon family fortune, you little shit.
Well, when we see you guys later this week for part 2, we will have WrestleMania 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35 to close things out.
Christmas.
Yep, we covered WrestleManias 12 through 24 just now with Triple H, with the only one he wasn't part of being 23. So we've already been on quite the odyssey. We will see you later this week for the rest of the Triple H WrestleMania Retrospective. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to leave us a rating and review if you are on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and leave the video a like on there. David, thank you for joining me for the first time. I look forward to having you back on for part 2 of this later this week.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to a lot of other things that I think you and I could tackle on this podcast. I have always wanted an avenue to talk wrestling, and this is I'm very excited. This is it.
Absolutely, I am too. We'll catch us later this week for part 2, and catch us every week on Wrestling the Past. Goodbye.
Bye.